Today we're going to look at NS4. NS4 is where we talked about GCF and LCM. Ms. Cheatham showed in previous videos how to do the ladder method, but we're going to look at that again with simplifying fractions and finding a least common denominator. So with GCF, that is simplifying. You are breaking it down to its simplest form. So we're going to use the ladder method again, and we're going to divide out a 2. 2 is our lowest prime number. 18 divided by 2 is 9, and 24 divided by 2 is 12. Then we can do the ladder method again because 2 can't go into 9 and 12, or it can't go into 12, it can't go into 9 and 12, but 3 can go into both of them. So 3 is our next lowest prime number that will go into both. So 9 divided by 3 is 3, and 12 divided by 3 is 4. Now if you notice, we have 3 and 4 left. There's not a number that can go into both 3 and 4 besides 1. So that means we're done. We cannot break it down anymore. Now remember, with the GCF, we're looking at the factor. We're looking at the numbers that we factored by, which would be 2 times 3. 2 times 3 is 6. So the greatest number that can be divided into 18 and 24 is 6. In elementary school, when we learned how to simplify, or at least when I learned how to simplify, I would come over and I would say, well, they're both even, I'm going to divide by 2. Okay, they're both can be divided by 3, so I divide by 3. But if we use our GCF, it kind of gives us a little shortcut. Instead of dividing by 2 and dividing by 3, we can just divide by 6 and be done. So 18 divided by 6 and 24 divided by 6. 18 divided by 6 is going to give us 3, and 24 divided by 6 is going to give us 4, which, if you notice, is the last 2 digits we were left with. So it gives us 3 over 4, 3/4, which is the same thing as 18 over 24. Now looking at LCM. LCM is the same thing as LCD that we did in elementary school, just a little different because not always are we going to use fractions when doing LCM. But in this case, I wanted you to see that they are the same. If I were adding 15 over 18 plus 10 over 24, I would need to find the LCD, or in this case, the LCM of 18 and 24. So notice they're both even, so our lowest prime number that will go into both is 2. 18 divided by 2 is 9. 24 divided by 2 is 12. Again, we have a 9 and a 12. 2 cannot go into 9, but it can go into 12. But it has to work for both of them. So since 2 can't go into both, let's go to our next prime number, which is 3. So we're going to divide out of 3. 9 divided by 3 is 3, and 12 divided by 3 is 4. So again, there's not another number other than 1 that will divide into 3 and 4. So we're done with that part. Now, with the LCM, we're going to use the big L. We're going to use every number that's on the outside of this factorization. So we have 2 times 3 times 3 times 4, which is 72. Now, we can go over here and we put our denominator as 72. And now remember, when you are adding, you have to make sure the denominators are the same. But then once you change your denominator, you also have to change your numerator and then add them all together. Now we're going to look at a 3-numbered problem. So we're going to do our ladder. If you notice, they're all 3 positive, so we're going to divide by 2. 12 divided by 2 is 6. 20 divided by 2 is 10, and 16 divided by 2 is 8. So then we're going to do a ladder again because they're all still even. We can go back to that first prime number we're going to look at, 2, and divide out again by 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 10 divided by 2 is 5, and 8 divided by 2 is 4. Now we have a 3, a 5, and a 4. Nothing else is in common between 3, 5, and 4 except the number 1. So since 1 is the only number they have in common, this is the lowest prime that we're going to get. 4 is not prime, but it is the lowest factorization we're going to get from this set of numbers. So we're going to look at GCF. Now remember that F, we're factoring, we're dividing out. So look at what numbers you divided out. We divided out 2 2s, which is 4. So our greatest number that can go into all three, is 4. 2 can go into all three twice. So that's when we picked 4. The M is our multiple. That's the number that all three of these will multiply to, and they will get the same product the first time. Now, remember, when you are doing LCM, you're looking for the first product. These numbers have an infinite amount of products that match, but you're looking for the very first one. So we're going to use that L and use the 2. Let me write that down. The 2, 3, 5, and 4. Now, when you multiply all of this out, you're going to get 240. So the first time that 12, 20, and 16 meet in a set of multiples is 240. So remember, you've been doing GCF and LCM many years now. We're just maybe using them a little bit differently than you're used to, but it's all the same concept.